How often do you think about the Oscars? About how many Oscar-winning films there are and how many you've seen? Yeah, there's a few famous Oscar-winning films that we've all seen. You know, The Godfather and Lord of the Rings and Titanic. I'm King of the World, all that stuff. But the Oscars have been running since 1927. There are currently over 1,000 films, feature-length films, which have won an Oscar. How many have you seen? I did the numbers for myself. It's not many, and I consider myself quite a movie buff. So here then is the premise of this podcast. Every episode, I and a rotating cast of two guests will randomly select one of the 1,000 films that have won an Oscar, watch it, and talk about it, with the only requirement being that one of the three people on each episode has to have never seen the movie before we talk about it. That will get difficult with Star Wars. Please note that our coverage of a movie does not constitute an endorsement of it. My least favorite movie of 2016, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, won an Oscar for Best Makeup, while my favorite movie of 2016, The Handmaiden, wasn't even nominated for anything. Please also note that our coverage of a movie is not a blanket endorsement of any or all of the people involved in it. A lot of terrible people have won Oscars. Kevin Spacey won an Oscar 20 years before he was outed as an abuser, and Roman Polanski won one 20 years after. But every film, good, bad, or in many cases mediocre, that has won an Oscar is an important part of film history just for being there. And they all, on some level, deserve a tiny bit of consideration, even if that consideration ends up concluding that it's garbage. And with all of that in mind, I am your host, as always, Ellie McConaughey, and with me today is Sam Marchioni.
Hi. Francis Wilson, Milliner on this movie. I just want to talk.
And Connor Duffy.
This movie proved to me that no matter how low your station may be, as long as you have a nice accent and a cheery demeanor, any Irishman can go to the top of the world. As long as then you have to stop watching after the first hour and a half.
Even an American pretending to be an Irishman?
Hey, you know what? O'Neill, we'll take him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. And in case that didn't clue you in, we are here today to talk about Barry Lyndon, the 1975 Stanley Kubrick film that won Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, and Best Music Scoring, Original Song Score, and/or Adaptation at the 48th Academy Awards. And which is, depending on the hour of the day, probably my favorite Kubrick. A possible hot take, I guess. Does that surprise anyone here?
I can see it. I can understand why this might be your favorite Kubrick on a given day. Some people may question the slow pace of the movie, but it's it does look beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Cast is wonderful. It is both strikingly dramatic and also at times hilariously funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's certainly Kubrick's least provocative movie.
If it helps that concept make sense, usually the other main frontrunner for my favorite Kubrick is Doctor Strangelove. So maybe I just like Kubrick when he's like kind of funny with it. I would argue this movie is up until the last stretch, it's honestly kind of a comedy. Like the opening scene where Barry Lyndon's father dies in we should just call him Barry. He's not Barry Lyndon until the second half. With the opening duel between Barry's father and another guy is like shot like a comedy scene.
There's a lot of the movie which due to the just the way that it was edited and due to that wonderful deadpan narration,
Mm-hmm.
moments are way funnier than I think they're meant to be. Unless, then again, I mean, when it comes to Kubrick, maybe that was completely by design. There is a moment in the second half of this movie which is incredibly sad, but there is a cut in the middle of the scene. I don't know if we want to get into spoilers at the way, like at the. I don't know if we want to talk about scenes near the end of the movie that right now within like 3 minutes of the beginning of your podcast. But when we get there later on, there is a cut that I felt guilty laughing about, but it was so funny.
Mm-hmm. I think I know the one you're talking about. I definitely think that the narration is part of what makes it kind of like extremely bleakly funny. Like the line that I wrote down from the narration is this skirmish is not recorded in any history book, but it was memorable enough to those who took part. Is such a mean spiritedly funny line. It really just gets in my brain. That's the shit I love about it.
So I suppose I am the odd one out in terms of finding this funny, but it is in part because I understand the comedy, and it is a form of comedy I am not particularly fond of. This is a comedy of juxtaposition wherein everything is deadpan, but for the words which are being used. Like the narrator is describing things in supposedly lurid tones, but everything is with the calm, measured snark, and the actors are, shall we say, restrained. Like at a certain point in my notes, the only thing I could think was like, this motherfucker looks like Sean Astin. And now I just want to know what Sean Astin's Barry Lyndon looks like.
Yeah, everyone is playing it very, I think restrained is a good word for it. There are a couple of moments where they do just like the scene where Barry attacks his stepson is a very like loud moment.
Well, I mean, that scene is specifically transgressive. It is when the rules are broken.
Mhm. I have in my notes that if I had any skill at Photoshop, I would Photoshop Mr. Barry into a shirt that says "I'm not the stepfather. I'm just the father that absolutely refused to step up."
He had no problem with the disciplining. It was just the everything else that that he had difficulty with. It is it's funny because I was watching this with my wife, who very much enjoyed the look of those costumes on Ryan O'Neal, and you know she noticed like she was not fond of young Lord Bullingdon, and I'm like, yeah, no one is exactly in the right or in the wrong here. I think you know, he might be a bit of a dick, but his stepdad is repeatedly cheating on his mom with with members of staff.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we cut the kid some slack.
Cheating on his mom with members of staff, running the family finances into the ground,
Mm-hmm.
apparently taking pleasure in physically abusing him, and also just heaping praise on this younger brother. Oh, and he was already making eyes at Bullington's mom before Bullington's dad was dead.
I feel like an understated part of Barry stealing Bullingdon's mom out from under his dad is Barry talks him into a heart attack. Like full on vicious mockery is this guy until the psychic damage gets to be too much.
There is a lot of things that happen in the first half of this film that I understand why the novel was named The Look of Barry Lyndon, because the first half of this movie is just is young Barry, is just him, Redmond Barry stumbling from one terrible situation that he somehow manages to get out of into the next, and on the way just achieving ever greater fame and fortune
Mm-hmm.
until he gets to his high point, after which his luck takes a very steep decline.
I could name the two parts of this movie in a very different way. So, part one, which is in the movie titled By What Means Redmond Barry Acquired the Style and Title of Barry Lyndon, I would term fuck around. And then part two, containing an account of the misfortunes and disasters which befell Barry Lyndon, is find out.
The ultimate fuck. Stanley Kubrick's FAFO coming to a theater near you. Fuck. R.I.P. Stanley Kubrick. You would have loved internet memes.
I say that that a period piece is going to be a good time when they have overly elaborate, kind of silly sounding title cards for different parts of the movies. I am here thinking of hopefully someday a future episode, The Favorite, which has the memorable title card. Last night I dreamed I stabbed you in the eye.
The Favorite is heavily derivative of Barry Lyndon,
Mm-hmm.
not the least of which is in the whole, hey, let's light every fucking thing with candles.
The what makes the movie kind of interesting from a technical point of view, and like as with many Kubrick films, Kubrick only directed like a dozen films over the course of his life, so they have been dissected very thoroughly, and it's basically well known that this movie kind of drew out of his failed attempt to get a Napoleon biopic off the ground.
And then Waterloo tanked, and he was like, "Fuck, how do I salvage this?"
Mm-hmm.
William Thackeray Makepeace.
True. I hold on. Come on, brain. Work with me here.
Makepeace Thackeray. I don't fucking care about William Thackeray.
You find out that he like basically had to invent new kinds of shooting techniques to shoot without like normal electric light. And you watch the movie, and honestly, like, I know people don't always like the plot. I was kind of braced going in, like, I know I love this movie a lot. I'm also aware that my tastes are a little shall I say singular. Is that a nice enough euphemism there?
There is a particular. I mean, your tastes are quote unquote singular when you and you alone have a movie scale named after you among your friend circle.
Yeah. For the record, so I would definitely categorize this as long. I would not categorize this as gay, apart from like those two guys who were in the water right when Barry decides like he's gonna desert the British Army.
Based of him.
I still don't know where this falls in terms of weird.
The movie it kind of reminds me of, which is in fact or not a movie, the book series it kind of reminds me of, which is a book series that is going to come up in our next episode, is, I don't know if anyone besides me here has ever read the Flashman books.
Nope.
I have read the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Flashman is like, I don't remember if he was a lord or just kind of like a minor noble, but the shtick of those books are he's a complete idiot, moron, coward bitch who finds himself stumbling through major historical events and just kind of back-assing his way to survive them. And
So kind of like Forrest Gump, but possibly more interesting and less racist.
yes,
If you're familiar with the Sharp novels, he's like the anti-Sharp. In that Sharp stumbles from one major battle of the Napoleonic Wars to the next, including somehow like ending up on Lord Admiral Nelson's ship in the middle of the Battle of Trafalgar. We won't talk about it here, but because Sharp is smart and brave and vicious and leads from the front and is loved by his men, loved by his women, etc., etc.
killer shot.
Yeah, killer shot. Just all around badass MF. Yeah, Flashman from my recollection is just the complete opposite of that. A coward who hates being in the army, hates everyone he meets. They don't like him. But he just lucks his way through one bullshit plan to the next, gathering the acclaim and heroism of other people who died along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's funny. Like he's a classic villain protagonist. If the book wasn't so funny, it'd be a horrible read.
And that like setup, we referenced Forrest Gump a little bit ago, but like that setup where you've got kind of an idiot coward or like a hero, the main character, but often kind of an idiot coward because that makes it fun, kind of stumbling their way through major historical events, is a very popular setup in English literature, especially in British literature. I know that it's popular enough that the Warhammer 40k Black Library publishers had a book series that was essentially Flashman, but in 40k.
What is Doctor Who except an idiot continuously wandering into British history and making it aliens? Not that the Doctor's an idiot, but like the int wisdom division depends entirely on the regeneration.
Yeah, depending on which actor is playing him.
Also, Ellie, I will not have anyone besmirch Caiaphas Cain, hero of the Imperium.
Yes, someone got that reference. But like you find out like the reason Kubrick is famous isn't necessarily because he directed because all his movies are fun. A lot of his movies are huge downers. It's because just the man could not stop inventing new ways to pioneering, if not necessarily inventing, new ways to shoot movies. He famously invented a bunch of new tech on 2001, on The Shining, he just kind of did that. He was also just an insane perfectionist, and I feel like I don't know, like I can't imagine shooting with a man like that on this film when those costumes must have been so hard to get the shots they wanted in.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to be shooting with a director who really, really likes the tech behind making movies, I think I'd rather work with George Lucas than with Stanley Kubrick.
Okay, which would you rather see? Stanley Kubrick's Star Wars or George Lucas's Barry Lyndon?
George Lucas's Barry Lyndon.
Okay.
It would be faster and more intense.
But it's also that I think George Lucas and Stanley Kubrick have this in common, that they have a very committed grasp of aesthetic. Like, yes, George Lucas's aesthetic can be boiled down to, I see that thing that reminds me of my childhood, I want it in my movie. But the the construction of the world is a big thing for both of them. And in this case, because I walked into it, I will embrace it. I am now the de facto costume person in all of this. Getting Milena Canonero to do the costumes, she is one of the people whom I really enjoy her costuming, because if listeners remember the Anna Karenina episode, my beef with Jacqueline Duran's costumes in that is that it has no adherence to the quote-unquote rules of the period and just goes about breaking them. With Milena Canonero's costumes for this movie, and I should add, in addition to Milena Canonero, who people would probably know also for like her costumes on Marie Antoinette and such, Ulla Britt Söderland is also credited to the costume design, so I'm not sure how to divide credit. I'm going to keep defaulting to Canonero because I know her more thoroughly.
To be clear, audience, Milena Canonero has 4 Oscars for Best Costume Design. This, Chariots of Fire, Marie Antoinette, and the Grand Budapest Hotel.
She is absolutely a great costume designer to get when you want a capital A aesthetic. But anyway, Milena Canonero knows the period. I'm guessing that a lot of my gripes with this movie probably would come down to being budget related, because the biggest things I saw when I was watching this that would tick me off were, I was writing in my notes, motherfucker, is that a princess seam? Are those metal grommets? Things like that. Things that, you know, we don't always have the time to carefully construct and pin these garments the way that they would have been used. We don't have the same styles of fabric. We don't have the time to like hand embroider silk. So yeah, we will get some like Gunny Sacks calico print and put it on some people in the extra. And maybe we don't have the time to properly structure some of the robes a l'anglaise that people are wearing, but the silhouette is generally correct. The general aesthetic is there. It is cohesive and it is largely representative of the period. I cannot attest to the military uniforms. That is not what interests me about historical fashion and historical costuming. I want to see the crazy shit happening. I have less leniency, shall we say, with the hair and the hats, because most of the hats are fucking amazing in this movie. And then there's fucking Nora in the opening scene, who's basically wearing like a lace bandana over what I swear to God is a ponytail.
I don't have, like, obviously part of the reason why I wanted you here for this one is because you have insights into costuming that I just don't have. And so I appreciate your opinion. I do have in my notes, I really like Lady Lyndon's hat in the first time she shows up. I want that hat. I like that hat.
Yeah, hats of the 18th century are pretty fucking cool. And honestly, we as a society lost something when we stopped really making hats a thing.
Yeah, one thing about the costuming is that my wife watched most of this movie with me, and her main takeaway is dudes need to start dressing like this again.
Dress up in one of these costumes, put that on your fucking Tinder bio, everyone's swiping right on you. Swiping right's a good one, right?
I don't know, I don't care, but I think this also explains another reason why Katie might enjoy David Bowie the way she does.
We're just continuing our psychoanalysts of all of our friends.
Well,
I'm gonna put that in my big notes.
just David Bowie, I think, embodies the kind of glitz and glamour that these costumes embody. And, there are, I think, some period pieces where Bowie was in 18th century garb, and he looks quite charming in it. But 18th century garb in general, really fucking interesting and really cool aesthetics. I will absolutely lose my mind any time somebody tries to turn a cravat into a fucking lace bib. Like, no, stop that. But Katie and I will absolutely be a tag team taking revenge on Beau Brummel for removing Flash from men's aesthetics.
Hmm.
There's a reason that the male peacocks are the pretty ones, people.
Yeah, like being pretty. Yeah, I was very curious about how, and obviously, like, I feel like the military uniforms are kind of accurate. They don't twig to me. Like, I'm not a costuming expert, but the thing about Anna Karenina was, whatever else you can say about the movie, and I have plenty to say about that movie. I have a whole episode on it. Is, even to me, the layperson, a lot of the costume twig is like, that's not right. That does not look accurate. What are you doing? So most of this, like, reads properly to me. We're going to talk about Nora. We're going to talk about the fact that Barry spends the first half an hour of this movie trying to fuck his cousin. Or are we just going to, like, skip on past that?
Yeah, like a third of my notes about that are motherfucker, that's your cousin.
But hey, that's Ireland in during the 7 Years War. So like, I'm not even going to begin to tell you, especially if you come from like small town or rural Ireland. Yeah, you damn right. You're checking to see. All right, but how close cousins are we? Because until you actually get to something akin to a town, your dating options are pretty limited. So the most believable part of Barry Lyndon is that, like, his first girlfriend would probably be someone he's at least somewhat related to.
Yeah, fun fact, did you know Conan O'Brien is 100% Irish and he is inbred?
Mm. That explains the big Irish head on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do also have in my notes that, like, the fact that everyone just kind of twigs, like, okay, he's not gonna let this fucking go, just, like, fake a duel with him and get Barry to run out of town, it's fine, is just, like, it's so fun. What there's a pretty good, like, essay on Barry Lyndon in the Criterion Collection. It references, or maybe I just read this someplace else, so don't quote me on the singing that in that cop set. But there's, I remember, an Ebert review where he says that Barry Lyndon is a man to whom many things happen, and, like, the example that they used is he skips out on dining with the two robbers at the beginning, and then just gets robbed anyway. Although, Barry, buddy, if I'm riding down the road on my horse and I see a guy standing with his back to me with a down straight across the road, I'm like, nope, go the other way.
Hey, he's a charismatic man. He's not. No one ever said he was a smart one.
Also, 0 out of 10, Barry does not leave his home going to Dublin with underscoring of the Rocky Road to Dublin. Sinners has inherently ruined any movie that goes to Dublin for me if they don't have that song. It is a banger.
I guess it depends on how on where he's coming from, right? I gotta, like, let me see, because he's Redmond Barry. Where? Oh, now I have to look. Like, whereabouts is he located?
They kept saying a name. What fucking was the name? It was something that sounded absolutely doolally.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what road he's taking, it could be rocky or less rocky.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the rocky. Let's see, in the merry month of May. Ah, fuck! No, wait. Hold on a second. Now, talk among yourselves. You hear me typing away here as I pull up the rocky road.
Kilwangan. That's the name they kept saying. Kilwangan.
Yeah, that sounds Irish.
Who we killing?
Tomb. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the person taking the rocky road to Dublin is walking from Tuam in County Galway, which would have been pretty rocky. So if Barry's from further south.
It appears that Kilwangan is in County Kerry.
Oh fuck! No wonder he. I'm sorry. If I was born and raised in County Kerry and someone told me here's 10 guineas, go to Dublin for a month, I'd be out there on the next fucking horse. But I'm sorry. This makes a lot of sense. There is a long tradition of Kerry man jokes in Ireland, which are all jokes about a man from Kerry who is incredibly stupid, and that's the core of the joke. So much of Barry's activities now in the first half of this movie and much of the second half make way more sense. Thank you.
You're welcome, I guess.
We didn't need that mystery solving, but we solved it anyway.
We did it, gang.
Honestly, I consider that actually really good dramaturgy. Good job, William Makepeace Thackeray.
We did it, gang. Let's go home.
We did. No, we have to talk about the rest of the movie. We haven't been talking about him like deloping in a duel with his stepson yet.
Oh god, Hamilton fucking ruined every single duel scene for me because I've got Lin-Manuel Miranda music playing in the back of my head. I'm like, pick up the pace, look him in the eye, aim no higher, summon all the courage you require, then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 paces, fire!
It's a beautiful example, the duel with his stepson, to do with Lord Bullington, mainly because it captures, I think, like everything that I personally got from this movie. The scene, like shooting it in like this big old stone barn or what have you, like it looks really good. The light coming in through the narrow windows. You hear like the doves cooing, doves or pigeons or whatever, and like they're in the rafters cooing, and you get this wonderful echo off. It's like all this big tension building and building. It's like here's this young man who's been waiting for this day his whole life. All this tension building up. You can feel like the fear coming from young Lord Bullington, and you can feel the resignation coming from Barry. And then Lord Bullington wins the toss, and he's going to cock his hammer. He's going to cock his pistol first, and he pulls back the hammer, and the fucking pistol goes off.
Don't worry, Lord Bullington. It happens to every man, and it's not a big deal.
So like, dueling pistols are kind of like one of the main visual signifiers in this movie. Like, it's on most of the posters, and like, I think there's such a good example of like, I think that if I had to boil down what I'm getting out of this movie, aside from the fact that it's just a gorgeous looking movie, hot take, Stanley Kubrick, good director, what I'm getting here is like this very good look at the like rigid absurdities of like the upper class, especially in this time period. A duel is this thing where you are expected to go to a specific place and let a guy just take a fucking shot at you. And also, like, you're not actually allowed to do it, but you're supposed to do it. You'll get in, like, social trouble if you don't, but you might get in legal trouble if you do. Like, it's just an absurd thing, and just the mix of just like the comedy and the tragedy of the whole finale just really gets to me every time I rewatch it.
Honestly, I'm still fucking impressed that the first duel Barry Lyndon gets himself into, the whole thing was a false flag. Hilarious.
It's so funny. It's like
that made me laugh.
So funny. It's like, Redmond, here, just apologize to the captain, take 10 guineas and go to Dublin. No, I refuse to. Has the duel, quote unquote, kills this dude. Oh no, Redmond, you killed him. Guess you're gonna have to go to Dublin for a month. Here's 20 guineas.
And like the whole premise of like why he should be afraid of this guy is that like, oh, he's a soldier, he'll kill you, and turns out the guy's just a total bitch, which is just like the best like reveal.
Seems par for the course for a British officer.
Man, we're there. I'm not making any jokes about the British right now. They've got it. Does the Britain have it worse than America right now?
You don't need to make jokes about the British.
They're already a joke. Padow.
Hey.
I am from Boston. It is our obligation to dunk on the British. Plus, I have Irish and Scottish and Welsh DNA working at it too. They're all like, fuck yeah, fuck the English.
Yeah, I've got, in case you can't tell from my last name, I have a lot of Irish in my blood as well.
Me too.
And Connor's like from someplace, it's called Ireland, I think.
Ireland. I'm from Ireland?
Ireland.
Do I know a guy, I know a guy named Murphy?
Wait, really? And like, I think the time period is good for that, because like, a lot of the wars in that, like the 7-year war in that period was just like, just 7 years of every country on Earth being the biggest dipshit on the planet and seeing who could last the longest.
At least until the next time every country on Earth was being the biggest dipshit.
I talked about this, I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod, but I've talked about this in a couple of forums where, like, I think that if we wanted to be really honest with ourselves, we gotta rename the world wars. We either gotta come up with a new war name, or we gotta, like, put some numbers at the end, because if we're being real, we're probably on like World War II was probably like World War 4 or 5, and one of the earlier ones was the 7-Year War. It was essentially a world war, just like
Yeah.
what they could do back then.
We've been watching the Ken Burns Revolutionary War series that he did for PBS this year, and yeah, it's like World War One and World War Two are probably at this point World War like 15 and 16 because everyone looks at we were looking at the Revolutionary War, and it's like this one chunk of New England is just this larger chunk of the entire continent, which also involved other parts of the planet, like Europe and the Caribbean and
Also, like the Napoleonic Wars. Come on, man. How many of those should be world wars? Speaking of Napoleon, Waterloo tanking immediately inherently led to this movie. That's the movie that was enough to make Stanley Kubrick go, oh, fuck, I can't do this now. God, kind of wish something would have happened like that with Ridley Scott's Napoleon.
Hey, let's be fair to Ridley Scott's.
No!
It is a very promising 2 hours of a 4-hour director cut.
You will never catch me being fair to Ridley Scott.
The Steven Soderbergh cut of Ridley Scott's Napoleon is going to be fire.
Steven Soderbergh is going to mix it with Waterloo to like make an extra long movie, and no one will ever get him to explain why he does that. He's just like, I don't know.
I'm bored.
Anyway.
Steven Soderbergh, the Damon Albarn of movies, in that he just can't stop fucking making them. He for those of you who don't know who Steven Soderbergh is at home audience, Steven Soderbergh is a director. I think his most famous movies in the mainstream are probably like
Oceans.
Yeah, The Oceans, or maybe Dazed and Confused. These days he makes an average of one movie every 10 months. Which is an insane pace.
He's completely abandoned one movie for them, one movie for me, and it's just like a movie for me, and for me, and for me, and for me, and for me.
And if you like it, cool. But otherwise, I'm off to do another movie with, I don't know, some other actor you really like. They keep giving me money to do these things. I'm not going to say no. He's very much like the Barry Lyndon of film directors, in that he just kind of keeps on going, and so far things seem to be going really well.
Okay, Steven, listen to me. If your stepson wants to duel you, say no. Also, that's not a thing we do anymore.
Question, should we bring back duels or nah?
No.
We should probably not bring back duels, but I think we could turn the influencer boxing matches into something actually benefiting society.
Yeah, I'd go for that.
Yeah, okay.
True. Maybe like political debates would be more fun if we just stuck them in a cage and we're like, okay, just fight it out for a while, you idiots.
I don't think they could fight for more than like 5 seconds each.
Yeah, well then maybe we'd finally get some politicians under 50.
Fucking I don't know, Chuck Schumer getting into a fist fight. I can't.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, your Democratic presidential candidate.
I'm imagining sticking Chuck Schumer and like Mitch McConnell in a wrestling cage, and it's like it'd be kind of funny until it got sad, which I think could also be a tagline for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
It's the thing about the duel though at the end is it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just me watching it, but like it's so viscerally sad. Lord Bullingdon is determined to like murder his stepfather for his mother, who he has not consulted about any of this and doesn't actually seem to care all that much that she's like going insane with grief. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna murder my stepdad about it. It's fine. You know, it's very clear at the end, like maybe this is just me like knowing a little bit about this, but like, man, he deloped. He very clearly and deliberately deloped, and you shot him anyway. You're not getting any social standing back from that, man. People are gonna call you an asshole the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so sad and so pointless, and that makes it kind of funny. Go ahead, Sam, sorry.
I'm coming at it from his perspective. It wasn't really fair that, his premature firing got to count as his shot. Because, like, the whole point of this was that he wanted to be able to inflict some kind of pain on his stepfather for all the pain his stepfather inflicted on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then because he couldn't handle his trigger properly, he didn't get the chance.
There are a number of levels, I think, to it that you could read into it. The more I reflect on the whole thing, is that, you know, from Bullington's perspective, there's the shame of not being able to handle his pistol correctly, so it goes off. And then there's the potential shame of feeling as if Barry let him off by firing into the floor, as if to say that, from Bullington's perspective, Barry either not taking him seriously or still seeing him as like a child, not to be, not to be treated with the proper decorum.
Or even potentially like, saying, I will not get myself into legal trouble by potentially murdering you. Because I don't even think Barry would care that, that's his wife's son. Because he does not give a fuck about his wife.
He does not give a fuck about his wife.
It's remarkable how quickly he stops giving a fuck about his wife, which is crazy, because have you seen his wife?
Very pretty wife. Barry, if you don't want her, I will boo her all day. But also, like, that's sort of like the thing that struck me about the final shot, which actually didn't strike me as much the last time that we watched. The end of the movie is, aside from a very good, in my opinion, final title card, but the end of the movie is Lady Lyndon signing. So to quickly run through the events, after Barry gets shot in the duel and loses his leg, his stepson's like, "Hey, if you fuck off forever, I will give you £500 a year." And part of the accusation that Lord Bullington sort of threw at Barry is, you only care about my mother for her signature because it's all her estate, and like until she dies, it's you don't have any power over it. And then we see her at the end of the movie, and I just sort of realized, like, man, she was never. No one ever asked her if she wanted her husband, who she presumably at one point did actually care about, shot.
Yeah, the narrator told me that she fell in love with him within 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, narrator.
Baby girl, raise your standards. I mean, like that was one of those things where I actually really did like their first like meeting and kiss. It is one of the things that I think this movie does well, which is it takes enough time to make you feel certain things. That first time they're alone together is like a full like 90 seconds of no dialogue before they even like are sharing the shot. It's I don't know. There's nothing else like it.
People may complain about the pace of the movie, and they might point to moments like that and suggest that the movie could be shorter or cut faster. But I think the benefit of having those long, kind of like drawn out takes, is that you really do get to appreciate the it's a movie where you really get to appreciate the beauty of cinema, as a visual art form,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the combination of the visuals and the really stirring music that soundtracks the entire film. But yeah, like, to your point, it does allow you to really absorb the emotions expressed by the actors, in these long moments where, we see her in a way struggling to give in to her desire for Redmond, for Barry, and then, without a word, the kind of culmination of that love affair. That's all we need to see to know that the two of them then engage in a passionate and for her, at least, very emotionally deep affair that that we might lose if, yeah, if there was more dialogue, or if it was cut a little bit differently. Like, if we had this, like, I think, if you did it today, it would be cut very differently, and you'd have a lot of, like, maybe like over the shoulder, kind of like back and forth kind of feel, where the camera spends a lot of time really focusing on each person's, like, face, to get the full range of their facial expressions. Whereas here, the film has a sometimes very theatrical aspect to it, where you take a step back and you really get to see the full stage on display, and see the cast moving within it, to get a feel for, I guess, the grandeur and the size, so that when you get more intimate moments like that with just the two of them, you appreciate it, I think, a lot more. You appreciate the intimacy, because you're moving slightly closer, but you're still at enough of a distance that you can really appreciate everything that the actors are doing in that moment.
It's me. Hi, I'm people.
I mean, the thing is, I do understand why a lot of people don't like this film. It's one of those things where, how do I put this in a way that makes sense?
So I'm going to advocate for myself because I suspect that the reason I don't care for this is different from why a lot of people don't care for this. I think a lot of people don't care for this on the grounds of, it's long and deliberate and it is not spoon feeding them everything. What bugs me about it is that I think at times the narrator is overblown to the point where it is kind of undermining the actor's work to me. First of all, I think that sometimes the actor's subtlety is so subtle that I'm missing it completely. To go off of Connor's thing about the theatricality of it all, I am used to theatricality meaning big, meaning clear and communicative. And I'm also a person who thinks theatrical and thinks do not let there be dead air because in a theater setting, if you have there be dead air, if there is not a beat that is deliberately timed out in such a way that the forward momentum of the scene is maintained, then the audience starts getting restless and they start opening their cellophane wrapped candies and they start looking for the bathroom. And to me, if this were a play like that I went to go see on the West End, if I had to just sit and watch two actors slowly drawing closer to each other with intermittent narration, I would be out of my mind. And I think that the narrator in this movie, particularly, does a lot of work in committing the sin of telling instead of showing, which is one of my big pet peeves. Ironic for someone who likes the prequel trilogy, I know.
I was simply going to say that the complexity of it is, I there are movies where I don't like them and other people like them, and I hear what they like about them, and they are, there's movies where I'm like, I genuinely don't know where you saw that in the movie, buddy, or like they like stuff that I don't like. But this is one of those movies where I feel like everything people who don't like it dislike about it is what the people who like about it, if that makes sense. I don't think any of us are disagreeing or on what's in it. I think just we're like, I don't know, that's just my vibe. So it's like it's occasionally kind of hard to defend because people will be like, well, I don't like it because it's like it's overly long and the narrator is kind of like there too much, and like, yeah, that's what I like about it. You know, that's just my instinct, though. I wasn't.
Not to be Star Wars on main, but God, when the Acolyte was coming out and people were like being so utterly divisive about it, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't like it for the main reasons that most people like it, but I like it for reasons that other people are hating it. I'm like a secret third thing. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, the worst is when like people are like, I don't like this or that thing, and you're like, yeah, I don't like that thing either, and then they'll list their reasons like he is not associated with me. He is not associated with me.
That is not my friend. I do not know this person.
Exactly.
I've never seen these assholes.
The trouble, the obstacles you have to go through these days to be a hater on the internet.
Real proper haterdom has we've got such low quality haters these days. It's a shame.
And in that regard, Lord Bullington is an impeccable hater.
He hates loud and he hates long. Good for him. And the dude he hates deserves it.
He is a classic hater.
Honestly, shocked Kubrick did not go further in suggesting, like, and also he has an Oedipal complex. Because that was what I was so worried was going to happen when the narration was like, the only thing deeper than his hatred for his stepfather was his devotion to his mother. I'm like, oh no. Stanley, don't.
Yeah. There were some moments. There were some moments that felt kind of kind of edible. Certainly, the way that Kubrick and his DP chooses to frame Bullington and his mother in that moment when they're watching the magic show during his half brother's birthday, like with him sitting there and holding her hand, and he's so sad, and but he wants to be right next to her. I don't I guess he didn't really need to go too far into it. There was enough implication there, I guess, to let us know.
I think that like the thing that makes Lord Bullingdon slightly less sympathetic than he might be otherwise, because once again, whatever I think of like Barry Lyndon doing one honorable thing in his life and not fucking shooting his stepson stone dead when he gets a chance, is the one thing that makes Lord Bullingdon kind of less, how do I put this in a way that makes sense? Less sympathetic is as the years go on, it becomes very clear that he is motivated less out of his affection for his mother is less out of affection for her as a person and more because she is the object he and Barry are fighting over. You know, that she is the thing that they both want, and he doesn't really. He's mostly just kind of there to go after Barry. That's what the scene in the musical hall is about. He is there to call out Barry, and because he thinks that okay, we're in public around all these people, he is not actually going to kick my ass when I say all this shit. But I guess he gets wrong there, buddy.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a wonderful moment for Bullington too, because like he can't lose. Either he embarrasses everyone and then and then they have to deal with the social embarrassment, or Barry loses his temper, which he does, and then he has to deal with the social faux pas of kicking the shit out of your stepson at the party.
Mm-hmm. You wait till later to kick the shit. No, don't kick the shit out of your stepson. That's where this whole problem started. Barry, be normal to your stepson for 3 weeks, and you would have been fine.
How about no?
What's striking about it is that, you have these moments where Barry shows that he's not all bad. Like, I'm thinking about like when he gets basically forced into joining the Prussian army, and his captain is injured, is trapped under like a rafter in a burning building, and Barry, who doesn't want to be in the army, doesn't want to be in that building, and certainly doesn't want to be anywhere near this captain, still has enough good grace within him to go back and try to save this guy's life, and as a result, benefits greatly from it. Then turns around and is just like the worst spy ever, just the worst and also best spy of all time.
He is in the Chevalier's presence for 4 minutes before he's like, well, time to spill my guts.
We both hear the song of the old country. Take me home.
Mm.
I'm sorry, Connor. I'm so sorry.
Really, what would have happened is if he had actually what should have actually happened was Barry should have asked the Chevalier what part of Ireland he's from first, and then after that decided whether or not he liked him.
I do, I was talking about how a lot of this movie is kind of like mostly about how petty and pathetic and bullshitty the nobility is, and I do really love, even though the prince is, to be clear, being cheated, but he doesn't know how, so he's just like, you're cheating, so I'm not paying my gambling debt, it's fine.
I wish we could do that now, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't like how much of my federal taxes are going towards the defense budget. So so I'm just not going to pay it.
I paid for that fucking Social Security. I'm going to get that fucking Social Security.
Yeah.
But also, there is, I believe, a thing to that effect. It's called tax resistance. That's what I was thinking of.
You think taxes? Yeah, basically. I was more thinking like my student loan company, collectors call me up. I'm like, I don't know, man. Fuck off. Duel me about it.
I don't have it. I'm dead. Who is this Ellie McConaughey you speak of?
I was killed in a duel. I am someone completely different. I don't know what you're talking about. No, that guy is in the British Army.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's Redmond Barry. I'm Barry Lyndon.
Mm-hmm.
It's an easy mistake to make. I get his mail all the time.
I mean, I did at one point get a message on Facebook like, "Hi, I'm looking around for dead name McConaughey, but I can't seem to find him on Facebook anywhere. I'm here to invite him to our high school reunion. Do you know how I can get in contact with him?" And I was just sitting there staring at him like, if I just say I'm dead, will this person ever find out?
Oh, I'm sorry. Dead name can't come to the phone right now. Why? 'Cause he's dead.
I was like, because that lie up front would save me having to swap out the lie of like, oh, sorry, I can't come to the high school reunion that day. I'm busy, as opposed to the answer, which is I would genuinely rather die. sorry, people from the high school reunion committee, if you're listening, do not want to go to my high school reunions ever.
Big apologies to Ellie's old high school classmates, but she doesn't want to see any of you.
Yeah. No, it's just like it's just a movie. Like I don't know. I really like that final. That final title card. These people lived and died and fought and gambled in the reign of King George the whatever. A third, is it third?
The third.
They are all equal now.
So it is entirely possible that while all of this is going down, there is shit happening on the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, he mentioned it's mentioned in part, isn't it? Barry funds like a I don't know, like a brigade or a troop, a battalion, to go to America to deal with the revolutionaries. And when the king meets him, he's like, "Oh, very nice. Why don't you go ahead and get me another one."
Yeah, it's a throwaway line, but there is a line about how they're funding the revolution. The last line being "they're all equal now" is, I don't know. I liked that. I liked that a lot. I think it's much like a lot of the narration. It's kind of on the nose, but it worked for me.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, etc.
Speaking of which, speaking of people who died, can I talk about how inappropriately I laughed when Barry's young son dies and he's in this bed and his parents are weeping on either side of him, and he asks his father, "Am I going to die? Am I going to die and go to heaven?" And Barry, and this is, I this is not a knock on anyone in that scene, because everyone is doing wonderful. The child actors in this movie are all really good, and Barry is crying, is trying to keep it together, and he's like, "No, you're going to get better. You're going to be okay. You're going to get well again." And it just cuts to his son. This close up of his son, who looks like the most dead person I have ever seen. Like he looks. This kid is like 5 seconds away from passing. Like so pale and just covered in bandages. And the way I inappropriately laughed.
Honestly, where I was laughing inappropriately was in the build up to it. It was like, now don't go to the horse. Don't go to the horse without your dad. You have to promise you're not going to go to the horse. You have 2 days left until retirement. Don't go to the horse.
I put in my notes, like, this movie is kind of a lot about, like, fate, and the narration does occasionally do this thing where it's like, hey, here's what's about to happen. We are going to make you wait for it to happen, though. But just, like, the knowledge his kid's about to eat shit, like he's going to grow up without children, is just one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, where he's, like, telling him, don't go to see the horse that I just bought you, is like, yep. I couldn't remember if he'd gotten thrown or if he'd gotten kicked in the head, which is something I was always extremely afraid of when I was doing horseback riding as a kid.
It's possible that he might have been kicked in the head in the book, but I think that getting thrown would probably have been easier to film, especially because you could get a stunt actor to do that in a way you could not get a stunt actor to be kicked in the head by a horse in the same way.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure it is possible to stage a horse kicking somebody in the head with a stunt actor, but less likely to be fatal is filming a stunt actor falling off a horse.
Yeah.
It's much more dramatic, for sure.
That too.
Honestly, shocked that Lady Lyndon did not start fucking her priest in her grief. Like 90% of the movies where they have this kind of plot of a woman turns to her religious authority figure for comfort, support, whatnot, they end up fucking, and that did not happen.
It would have happened, except like even if the dude was played by an actor with like I don't know, Robert Redford good looks, you can't have an affair with a dude called Reverend Runt. You just can't.
And he does not, like, no offense to Murray Melvin, who has been in a lot of movies I quite like, including the Ken Russell film The Devils.
Oh my god!
He was also in Torchwood, which is where I assume Sam was going to find out.
Oh no, what I know him from is the 2004 Phantom of the Opera playing Monsieur Leia.
Ah, yes. But like, I don't know what fucking casting call they had for him except for like Weasel. Did you want a guy who looked like a weasel? I was waiting for him to betray someone the entire movie because he looks like a weasel. Again, no offense to you, Marie Melvin. I really like the Devils. I really like you. You're actually very good in this movie, and you're completely trustworthy.
R.I.P., sir.
R.I.P. Sir. Don't haunt me.
You did it now, Ellie. You're gonna get haunted by a character actor any day now.
Honestly, if I'm going to be haunted by an actor, I would rather it be a character actor because they'd be fun.
Yeah, as I'd say, like I have an Oscar podcast where I have to talk shit about a lot of character actors. I'm being haunted by like 3 at any given time. You will be haunted by 3 character actors tonight.
I mean, I don't recognize most of these people. Apparently, they were all like really big deals based on the fact that every single name in this cast is blue on their Wikipedia listings. But I'm like, who the fuck is Diana Kerner or Wolf Kaler?
So an element of Kubrick's life that sort of developed very strongly after, I want to say, Doctor Strangelove or 2001 were the big ones, was that Kubrick fucking hated flying. So after he went to England for like one shoot or another, he just never left. Famously, this is, well, not famously, but this is a story that I've probably told before. If not, I'll tell it now. I knew a guy who was on the New York unit for Eyes Wide Shut, and he said that they'd shoot a shot, just like a pickup shot of Tom Cruise walking down the street, and they'd package up the film, they'd ship it off to London, and then like a week later, the head of the B team would get a call from the head of the London unit where just, nope, Stanley doesn't like it, do it again, which must have been very exhausting after a while. But the point I'm making here is that, all these people are famous, but I think they're all like theater actor famous. If you go over most of these dudes, they're mostly theater actors, which is kind of interesting because the last movie we had, which had a cast quite this big of all blue Wikipedia entries, was Around the World in 80 Days, which had an insane list of just the most over the top list of cameos I've ever seen in my life. And all these people are just here to actually just act.
Yeah. God, remember when that was what a cameo fest looked like? It was like every actor just wanted to have a little fun bit part and not, oh my God, we need to have as much social media name recognition as possible so we can get it hashtag trending that Ariana Grande is in Don't Look Up for 5 seconds. I don't know why that was the example I picked.
We don't have enough. Basically, this is why we need to have more Muppet movies being made.
True.
Because yeah, if you want a movie where actors will come and happily not even have a line, but show up for like 15 seconds and then disappear again, you got to throw a Muppet in there. Everyone wants to work with them. This is me telling you that this is the reason and only reason why I, Connor Duffy, want you, the owners to the rights of the Muppet franchise, to make more Muppet movies for me.
The Walt Disney Corporation.
The Walt Disney Corporation. Dear Walt Disney Corporation, how are you? I am fine. Actually, I'm not fine because every 2 years there should be a Muppet movie where the Muppets adapt a classic book that I haven't read. Yours sincerely, etc., etc.
I mean, like, I like the Muppet. It is December 20th as we record this, dear listeners. Everyone likes a Muppet Christmas Carol. We all know this. This is not in dispute. I have, however, seen Muppet Wizard of Oz. It can, in fact, go bad.
Okay, now I'm curious, Connor. Muppet Barry Lyndon.
Oh boy. Okay.
So,
well,
we can't... see, the thing is, you can't have Miss Piggy play Lady Lyndon because there's no way Miss Piggy would ever take this shit.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? Like, it's... like...
Honestly, Miss Piggy might be Lord Bullington, only she's Lord Piggington. Or Lady
Lord
Piggington.
Lady Piggington. Boom. Okay, there's the first step. All right.
And instead of a duel, she just runs and going, hi-ya!
I guess Barry would need to be the human actor because like you can't really take any of the Muppets and turn them into essentially the villain protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the first half of the movie, it's kind of fun, but then the second half of the film, like the second half of the story, like Barry just becomes like a right bastard, and no one wants to see Kermit the Frog getting down with his friends and a bunch of like half-naked Muppet ladies.
Oh, yeah, true. R rating. Or
Oh God, no, I can't think about it. Yeah,
no, actually, this was fucking rated PG.
this was rated PG, which I guess means yeah, the MPA has decided. I guess much like you can have at least one shit in your PG-13 movie. I guess you can have boobs in your movie as long as those boobs are at least 50 years old.
I will say, if we're going from literature from this time period, well, I guess it's not. No, it's from roughly this time period. Robert Louis Stevenson, 1840. Yeah, roughly this time period. I think Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson would make a really great Muppet movie.
Okay, so we've just fully departed from Barry Lyndon in favor of Muppets.
We're talking about the Muppets now. We're gonna. Oh fuck! Kermit's wheeling into the room with a. It's the Muppet Show. No, we're back on Barry Lyndon. I was mostly actually trying to get us off the Muppets.
But yeah, I'm looking at the parents' guide to Barry Lyndon right now. And what it on IMDb, it says sex and nudity, moderate, violence and gore, moderate, profanity, none, alcohol, drugs, and smoking, mild, frightening and intense scenes, moderate.
He basically has an orgy on screen. Never mind.
I don't pretend to understand the logic of IMDb.
You're allowed to see at least one boob. You're allowed to see two boobs if they belong to two different women. Let me look it up in the MPA.
And they have to be in profile.
They have to be in profile.
Side boob is what makes it acceptable.
Yeah, only side boob.
I mean, it's really interesting, like how much the MPAA has shifted its approach to nudity over the last 50 years. Wow, 50 years since this movie came out. Because I remember, movie that is very important to this podcast, Titanic, has this whole list of rules they had to follow in order to have Kate Winslet get her tits out, but still maintain a PG-13 rating. And then you sit down and watch this PG rated movie. I'm like, oh, those are two women with their tits out, as Barry Lyndon prepares for a adulterous threesome. Yay!
Wow.
More I learn about this Barry Lyndon guy, the less I like him.
Unbelievable. Why would you ever think that? What did Barry Lyndon ever do wrong? But also, continuing on this movie has kind of an obsession with boobs that I don't think we've fully talked about in terms of the cinematography. Like, the scene towards the beginning when Nora takes off her ribbon necklace thing and puts it down the front of her dress so that Barry has to grab her boobs in order to get it. Like, there are multiple shots of him just talking to her boobs. It is the most literal, my eyes are up here, buddy.
What's actually really funny about that scene is she's like, no, my tits are down there. Get your hand in there, idiot.
Right?
At least she knows what she wants, right? We all love we stan a lady who isn't afraid to express her desires to her cousin over a game of cards.
And then be surprised when her cousin gets pissy that she's flirting with men who aren't related to her.
Wait, maybe it just got away from me.
First off, since it's that time of year, I guess we can say that Barry is her present this year.
Ah!
Sounds gonna fucking murder me. Second, my implication there, and we don't get a lot of Nora. Nora leaves the movie after 20 minutes, and you can tell that she was better off for it because she's out there. She's never comes back. Like, I don't want any more of that. I guess the implication is that Barry is taking this more seriously than she was. She probably thought that wasn't going to go anywhere because, again, Barry, buddy, honey boy, that's your cousin. Do you want Charles II of Spain? Because that's how you get Charles II of Spain.
I've played enough Crusader Kings 2 to know that sometimes you marry your cousin in order to get that claim on Leon.
Yes, but against 1,500 a year?
Oh, I mean, but look what he had. He had, I don't know, Ryan O'Neal's face to offer.
It's again like the opening duel is kind of the movie in miniature. Everyone seems to be taking this whole shit so seriously, and it ends up not mattering because it's all just theater.
Anyway, the movie's pretty good, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, just to do a quick check if I'm getting this right. So if 100 pounds in 1770 is worth about 23,000 pounds today,
Good lord.
that would be 15 times 23. So that's about 345 pounds a year in modern terms. And like, yeah, Nora, get that bag.
I could go for $345,000 or pounds a year. You know, it is a truth universally acknowledged. I'm dragged forcibly
Da
off
da
stage.
da 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 da. Don't make me get out the Hallmark movies.
Hallmark, Barry Lyndon and Mistletoe coming to Hallmark Channel this.
Oh
Oh
my
God.
god. What? I can't go back to my small Irish town. I have too many important things to do here in big city. You know, I'm a big city Prussian soldier slash spy. I can't go back to my small Irish hometown for Christmas. Cut to, hey Barry, do you remember your cousin Nora?
Oh God.
No. Ah.
The executive from Hallmark Channel being like, oh, okay, so I have some notes.
You know what? You know what? There's a bit in Seinfeld where George starts like saying what he thinks is his best joke for the conversation, and then just immediately leaving the conversation. You know what? Barry Lyndon and Mistletoe. Sam, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I am the host of 6 Degrees of Star Wars, the podcast where we explore all the ways George Lucas's flagship franchise surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema. Barry Lyndon is eligible for the podcast. We'll fucking see if it ever turns up. I have made it clear many times everything is Star Wars. Star Wars is everything. You cannot escape the Star Wars. And also, I'm on social media at Demisem. That is DEMISEMME. And be kind to each other. Happy 2026 for all that's worth. And happy birthday, Ellie.
Thank you. The real question of whether or not everything is Star Wars is: can you sing the lyrics to American Pie without lapsing into the Weird Al version about the prequels? The answer is no. No, you can't. Connor, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky. I am at Young Mr. Duffy. You can also find me on itch.io. Third Country Press is the itch page you're looking for. My wife and I, we make RPGs, we make little supplements for adventures, we make zines. A lot of it is pay what you want, and the stuff that isn't is like $2 or $3. So go ahead and buy yourself a fun adventure, a game. I spend my days off making them. You can also find us on BFF.fm. We are on the air every Thursday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern, 4 to 6 a.m. Pacific time. Third Country Radio. We play a little bit of everything. Every week we find a new team that we curate our show around, and we just have 2 wonderful hours of music and conversation.
As always, you can find me, Ellie, on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos with dashes between the words. You can find me on Blue Sky, Medium, and Letterboxd at LSR42. And you can find this podcast on Blue Sky at Biggest Night Pod. We are available on both Spotify and YouTube. And if you follow us on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe, maybe like and comment on the videos so that you can tell me which parts you like and which parts you don't. And thanks to Sam and Conor for coming out. Sorry this movie wasn't shorter. But we've been talking a lot about an idiot stumbling ass backwards through important events. And in particular, we talked a lot about the Flashman novels. And, dear listeners, if you remember, I get to choose the 2 movies for January. One movie I love and one movie I hate. And for the next movie, we're covering one of the highest box office grosses for a Best Picture winner ever, we are going to be talking about Forrest Gump. Hope to see you there.